Hello friends, we are at it again. Yes, that is right. We're on to another project, this time a little smaller project. We are clearing out some land and some debris. That is right, I have put Jackson on yet another project. That is the great thing about having a 15-year-old, soon to be 16-year-old son who loves equipment and is really good at equipment. So what we're going to do today is I am going to show you these two areas that he has been cleaning out for me, because these are going to be future gardens here at Creekside Nursery in Dallas, North Carolina, a Zone 8A. So we're going to look at those spaces. We're going to talk about what the plans are, what kind of plants we're going to put in there, the timeline, all of those things, because as you know, we're constantly growing here at Creekside and one can never have too many gardens. Wouldn't you agree, right? I mean, if you've got the land, let's just be great stewards of it and put in some beautiful plants. Plus, we really did need to do this because of some invasive plants that we're taking over. Again, I'll explain all of that. And then last but certainly not least, it is hellebore season. That is right, my friends. The Lenten roses have begun to bloom, and oh my, what a beautiful sight they are. So I am going to share some of them with you and show you how to prune them, because hellebores are so incredibly low maintenance. There is just a little bit that we need to do to them, and now is the time of year to do it. So I'm going to take any guesswork or fear, or maybe you didn't even know you were supposed to prune your hellebores. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Super easy. But first, let's talk about these projects. So as you can see, Jackson has created quite a lovely debris pile of plants that we needed to get out. Mostly trees that really had no future because of their size. So it is a dramatic difference. Let me show you. First up is this area right here at the entrance to the garden center and to our house. We've been up here a bunch, right? And you may or may not have even noticed this space before, but this is a barrier, I don't know what you would want to call that, between my parents' property and then our property, because of course, as most of you know, my mama and daddy live just right over here, so you can see their house especially easier in the winter time. Then what separates us is what we call the walnut field, because this field is filled with walnut trees. And so this area was just an area that was left completely natural. Like neither one of us, neither Jerry or I, nor my parents did anything with it. And you know, it had such great potential. It still, I mean, it has great potential, right? And so Jackson was like, hey mom, can I really clean this out? So talked with Mimi and Poppy, and they gave us the green light. And because the idea is that we pulled out all of the junk trees and the invasive vines that are in here, and we're going to eventually go ahead and replant this with beautiful plants, mostly evergreens, that will give us year-round interest and structure in this space. So first things first, let's talk about what was in here, and then the things that are in here that we do not want in here. So what we do not want in here is we had poison ivy and English ivy. So obviously we did not plant the English ivy. I guess this came in through birds, I don't know. And it's been in here for quite a long time, and we never did anything with it, which was a big, huge no-no on our part. But when I say that the ground was completely covered in that English ivy, like I am not exaggerating. And it is starting to go up the trees, obviously. So that was one huge reason that we wanted to come in here, because to get control of this ivy, because it is so incredibly invasive. So Jackson, when he was taking out the trees, he also was starting to take out the ivy. So we had major ivy in here. Also, we had major, y'all, like massive, huge, the size of your arm vines of poison ivy, and they were completely wrapped up in a tree that was hanging over, and it was really kind of in this whole area right here that has a blank spot right on the other side of this cedar tree. and I think it was like a maple, but it was almost going at close to a 90-degree angle and hanging over, and it was impeding the sun and the growth of the walnut trees right here. So Daddy and Jackson worked together to get that out. It did take the top out of the walnut tree here in the center, but I told Jackson, I was like, as long as Poppy's involved and he does it, then he can't get mad at you because he's involved in that project. But it was covered in poison ivy. We still have a little bit of poison ivy that I see in this tree. If you've never dealt with poison ivy, oh my, it is awful. One touch of it and you will break out in this rash with, like, it itches terrible, and it is an awful, awful rash. So this is actually poison ivy right here. And you know it's poison ivy immediately, because do you see all the quote little hairs on it? All those little sucker vines? Well, that is poison ivy. And so as you can see, if I can get the camera to work here, it goes all the way down, all those little vines, those little hairs on it, and it is connected. So we need to get rid of this, but what they do is it starts to climb up the tree. We've also got ivy in this tree. And so, yeah, it is just horrible. You can see where the English ivy is in these trees. We have briars in here. I mean, you name it, there's all sorts of fun stuff in this bed. If you know me, then I think it's pretty obvious. Look at all this beautiful growing space. Oh my gosh, y'all. It is going to be fantastic. Now, we are not going to plant anytime soon. The earliest that we would plant would be this coming fall, because between the briars, the English ivy, the poison ivy, and any other little suckers that may be coming up, because there was like wild ligustrum in here, all sorts of things that were just not of big, like substantial quote value, shall we say, in this bed. So we've got to make sure that we maintain that and it does not come back, because the absolute last thing that I want to do is come in here and plant beautiful trees, shrubs, perennials, and then the ivy comes back and it starts to strangle it. It would be an absolute nightmare. So what the plan is one, to come in here and do like a final cleaning. The poison ivy will very carefully cut that and then paint it with the brush and stump killer. Same thing with the ivy. If any of that ivy is still connected that's in the trees, we will cut that. Now, of course, English ivy, there's nothing that's gonna hurt you when you like pull that. And you can pull some of it, but then it also breaks. But we're gonna make sure that when we cut it, that we paint it to kill that. Briars, all of that kind of stuff we are going to get out. Jackson's done a really good job of cleaning up. There's just some things like around the base of the trees that we will need to get up. But then we're going to come back through with a really thick layer of some hardwood mulch. So we will, because we are a nursery, we are a business, we have access where we can get bulk mulch, like by the tractor trailer load. So that is what we will put in here. It'll be like a hardwood, excuse me, like double hammered. So it'll create this nice thick mat in this entire bed. And then it will help suppress any kind of weeds that are coming up. Anything that we do see coming up throughout the growing season, we can easily come in here and spray with an herbicide to kill it, because you don't play with ivy, poison ivy, briars, like, yeah, we're not playing with this stuff. So we will make sure that we can stay on top of it, get it all killed, and then this fall we will come back and plant, because one, give us time to maintain all of the nasty stuff that we don't want in here. And two, the fall, of course, is the perfect time here in the Southeast to plant trees, shrubs, and perennials. Because guess what? Is this going to be on irrigation? No, absolutely not. So let's talk about what kind of plants we're going to put in here, because that's what we really want to talk about. That's the fun stuff. Now that we have thinned out the trees that did not have a future, obviously we kept all of the nice, big, straight trees, that was the big thing. As long as they were healthy and straight, then we kept them. And so we have got tons more sunlight in this bed. And while my parents do love us and they love the nursery, they also really love their privacy. So the idea is to replant trees and shrubs that will give interest, color, texture, but also most importantly, some privacy for my parents. So that way they aren't on full display to any kind of customers, and so that they don't see all of the shenanigans that are going on at the nursery. So what I envision in this space is going to be especially in like the big holes, right? So we've got a huge hole right here that we've got a lot of potential in, and then coming all the way down to the far right, you can see where the soil is exposed, then that offers up an area also. So I'm thinking like we could do like a giant magnolia, we could do the green giant arborvitaes. I'm thinking like big trees. We could do like deodar cedar, something with some blue evergreen. So something that would be big, wide, tall, and fill in the gaps, right? And those would be like accent pieces throughout here. Then on Mama's side, this would get more, once we get some more structure in here, this will get more shade in the afternoon because the sun sets basically right behind Brenna. So where you're looking at is where the sun sets, that is west, and so this will get that shade. Now obviously not right now, it's going to be in full sun. So we're thinking about maybe some like serrata hydrangeas in certain areas. She has got tons of the old-timey hellebores that naturalize, so we can fill in there, those kinds of things. And then of course, camellias. I want camellias of all shapes, sizes, bloom times, you name it. This would be absolutely gorgeous in here. Now, let me show you what it looks like from our side. So from our side of the nursery and what we see, this is what it looks like. So obviously if Mama's side is going to get more shade in the afternoon, this side is going to get a lot more sun. It gets hot, intense afternoon sun, and so we will plant accordingly in here. And so this will just be fun. I don't have specifically, you know, I'm not sure, I don't know over here. I'd love to hear your opinions and your comments on some things that we could plant here on the hot side of the garden. And this is definitely gonna be like a woodland garden slash, but it can have a lot of sun. It's gonna take us some years to get more shade back over here, but that's all right. Like I'm not mad about it because it just looks so nice. And then of course, with the potential, like when people are coming in, they're gonna see this, and this will all connect to that driveway expansion bed that we're going to be working on. Haven't done that yet. Obviously, things have been a little busy around here, so that is still on the to-do list. But yes, so this is the project that started it all. Jackson started this not even a week ago, I don't think. And so there you go. Now, let me show you the other area that he also is tackling for me. A few weeks ago, I shared with you that Jackson was cleaning out along the creek bank behind where my camellias are in this bed. So this bed, you can see, has the emerald green giants, it has the Bracken's brown beauty magnolias, and then down there along the creek, we have some of the Southern Living Plant Collection camellias. And so the creek bank was starting to kind of creep back in, and so he cleared it out for me. So now what he has done, and it's almost done, he's got some cleanup that he has to do, is to the left of that. So all of this area right in here, he came in and cleared out. So basically from the large poplar tree right here, all the way up to where the camellias start right here, this is what he has cleaned out. So he's coming in behind me, and he's gonna be working while we're talking. But y'all, oh my gosh, when I tell you that this has opened up a ton of space in this garden, I am not even joking. And it is going to be so much fun. Now, while there was some, just a very little bit, I'm trying not to get run over by a skid steer, while there was a little bit of ivy in a spot, it was not anything like what was up at the gate. I mean, the gate was almost like, I would say 90% covered in the English ivy. Here, not so much whatsoever. And I'm so excited about this because, of course, this is down here at the creek bank, right here at the entrance to the nursery. So, I mean, obviously, right there's a signature garden right there, all this. So right here we have Quickfire Fab hydrangeas, and I don't know if it'll show, but they were starting to lean this way because there were so many trees along right in here that it was blocking the sun, because remember, the sun sets right here, right there. And Quickfire Fabs, of course, are panicle hydrangeas, and they need the sun. Now, they still got their 5 to 6 hours of sun, because you can see that they were covered in blooms, but they definitely could use more sun, especially all around, so they have a nice full shape to them. These are supposed to be like 5 to 6 feet tall, I want to say, in that range, and you can see that they're like 3 feet tall. So having their own irrigation, so you know, it's a sun issue. So now that they're going to get all the beautiful sun through the trees, a lot more than what they have been getting, they are going to take off and be absolutely gorgeous. And then there's so much more room to put new plants. I also have a collection of 3 tea olives right here on the end, and they too are going to be super excited to get more sun, because I also have 3 tea olives on the other end of the bed, and they're a good 2 to 3 feet taller than these guys, because these don't get as much sun. That's all going to change now. But look at all of this now available space that I get to plant. Oh my goodness. So you can see right in here is where the ivy was. We got just a little bit, the green right there at the base of that cedar tree. So there was a little bit in here, so we'll kind of keep an eye on this. Probably won't plant a ton of stuff right here, right now, but look at all, I mean, this is probably at least 20 feet behind the Quickfire Fabs that we can plant. And then all of that room, so if we wanted to connect, I don't know that we are going to, but if we want to connect the camellias, the magnolias, and all of that to this bed, we certainly can do that. Again, in here, we left all of the tall, straight, healthy trees, and then we took out anything that was leaning. There was quite a few that were leaning, and then there was also some of that wild ligustrum in here as well. Now, talking about a leaner, we have got a major leaner over here. This cedar tree, y'all, is literally on the side of the creek bank, and it is massive. So at the base, it is probably 3 feet wide, and you can see it's hanging on by a root and a prayer right there, but we are not going to take this down. This has been here for a very long time. My daddy is a very sentimental man, and he wants this to stay, so it will stay. When the good Lord decides to take it down, it'll come down. We'll deal with it then, but for now, this leaner is going to give us, character, and it's going to give us some personality in this bed. We did leave the holly trees because, again, they give us a nice evergreen screen in here. And we've got a nice big one right here that has multiple branches, gives us beautiful evergreen habit in here, coverage. The birds, of course, love it for protection, and then the berries that they get to eat. So lots of possibilities are going to be happening in here. Very excited. Obviously, like where Jackson is like right now, that would be a perfect spot for some hellebores just to run wild. Autumn ferns, holly ferns, you name it. Those kinds of things would be great in here. So super, super excited about these new developments. So the one thing I did tell Jackson is, because today is Thursday, and like most of the country, I think we're all pretty aware of this weather front that is going to be coming in this weekend, early next week, along with all that cold, cold air. And so I told him, I was like, okay, bud, so today we got to wrap it up. You got to get all of your construction taken care of, and then we got to clean up. Because as much as I do adore my son and he is amazing on the equipment, he's still not the best about cleaning up. So we're working on that. So he's got a day and a half to get all the debris cleaned up. So that includes like all the little sticks everywhere, because I know this may sound silly, but one, obviously it's got to get cleaned up, right? I mean, just common sense, you gotta get it cleaned up. But if we were to get snow, which now they're just calling for tons of ice, I don't want ice. But if we do get snow, I want the landscape to look pretty. I want it to have a nice full coverage, and I don't want to have, you know, piles of like sticks coming out. I want a nice blanket of snow. Again, ultimately he's got to clean it up. So, but there's tons of different things here in the field that he's got to get taken care of. So yeah, so that's what's on the list. Speaking of the weather, because a lot of y'all have been so sweet and you're like, hey, look out for the weather. And I'm like, trust me. Southerners know when any kind of inclement weather in the winter is coming. If they call for snow or ice, then trust us, we are on top of it. But as far as the nursery goes and the plants, again, snow's great. We welcome snow. Ice is a whole different ball game because we have tons of trees, right? The whole southeast, like we all have trees, and nothing will bring a tree down faster than ice and then the wind that they're calling for. So that's not good. House-wise, we're fine because of course we got the whole house generator. So praise the Lord for that. We've not had to use it. Maybe we'll use it, maybe we won't. I don't know. If we do, then it's a party at the Simpsons. So Mimi and Poppy can come hang out with us until everybody gets power back. But then the greenhouses, so the retail garden center greenhouse that has no plants in it. So we're good there, so we don't have to worry about that, although it would work because that is connected to the house. So I think it is. No, it's a different power source. Never mind. But still, there's no plants in there, so I don't have to worry about that. Production-wise, that would be the concern, is that we lose power, is that as far as the heat, because they're calling for like Monday morning to be in like, they were saying like 10 or 11 degrees, which is not good. The good thing is that the sun will come out and that sun will heat up everything. But as you know, we have got warm weather annuals in there, so we have to make sure that we have power to those greenhouses. They are on a completely like different line, everything like a power line, power source, same company, but completely different source where it comes in than what the house is. So we have a generator, so that will be able to run the heaters up there and then run the well so that we can water it. We're just praying that we don't get ice, because ice could easily mean trees down, which is not fun. That is not what we want. But we'll deal with it if it happens. You know what? The Lord provides and we'll take care of it. Now, let's talk about flowers. Let's talk about hellebores. So excited about this. Here at the woodland garden right in front of us, so we're spending a lot of time up here near the gate in the entrance. So this woodland garden, Mama and I have developed this over the past couple of years, and in here we have quite a few of some Lenten roses and some hellebores, and I have not done anything to them. It is now the time to go ahead and take care of them. So I have them kind of in little collections, just having some fun with them. So right here I have got 3 of them. And of course, we love hellebores, Lenten roses. They're called Lenten roses. They're not really a rose at all, but they're called Lenten roses because they historically will bloom beginning around the season of Lent. They come in a range of colors. They come with some variegated foliage, like this foliage has some really kind of fun, like you can see the veins in it. So we've got, I'll have to find the names for you, but we've got a really pretty like creamy white with some pink. And then next door, we have got one that is a deep, deep red. They historically are going to be shade perennials, especially here in the south. In your colder zones, I want to say they're hardy in zones 4 to 9. If you are in those colder zones, and then you can handle more sun. They are very drought tolerant once established. They are low maintenance and historically, again, deer resistant. Now, it never fails. When I say a plant is deer resistant, I can almost bet $100 when I say, oh, a plant is deer resistant. There is going to be somebody in the comments that goes, nope, not in my house. The deer eat it to the ground. And I say that's why I say deer resistant, not deer proof, right? No plant is deer proof, because if a deer is starving, it will literally eat anything. So as long as you don't have huge, horrible deer pressure that are starving, then they do tend to be deer resistant. Also, I do have some rabbit issues at my house, and they've always left my Lenten roses alone. So there you go. Now, we got to do a little bit of maintenance. It's super, super easy, but this maintenance is going to make these Lenten roses shine. So let me show you how easy it is to take care of your Lenten roses. All right, my friends, so I have perched myself right here in the middle of these 3 hellebores. I did go ahead and clear out the big fat leaves that were in here, because I really wanted you to be able to see what I'm doing. I'm going to prune the first one, just talking about it, and then the other ones I'm going to zoom the camera in so you can see exactly how I am doing it. But it is pretty self-explanatory. All you need is a good pair of clippers. Whatever your favorite pruners are of choice, grab those. Then what we're going to do at this point in the season, when your hellebores begin to have buds and are blooming, it's going to be pretty self-explanatory of what is going to stay and what is going to leave. All we're doing is we're taking off last year's foliage, and it's really easy at this point in the season to see what should stay and what should go. The older foliage is going to go ahead and start laying down. You can see that it's down all the way around me. I'm coming in to the absolute close to the base of the plant that I possibly can get, and I am simply cutting off those old spent leaves. Now, literally, this is the only thing that you have to do as far as pruning to your hellebores. You do it once a year. It is as simple as that. You take off that old foliage and boom, there you go. Now, the flowers and the new foliage can really shine. You can take those leaves back, push them all around. Mimi had chopped some up for me, so I've got some nice leaf litter right here, and there you go. Now, if you want to try to encourage more faster growth, of course, you can feed your Lenten roses. I would just use plant tone, just a really good all-purpose slow release fertilizer, and I would do that. You honestly probably would be like, now you could put it down if you wanted to. Maybe it will give some food, but I'm thinking like early spring. So like what I do when I have beds like this, where I have a ton of perennials and shrubs jam-packed on top of each other, because I have a lot of dormant perennials in here, I just come through with my plant tone and I just kind of broadcast it. I'll have a cup, I'll just kind of toss it out everywhere. And then maybe zhuzh it in, get a rake and kind of, fluff it in so it starts to go down into the soil. Do that once a year and that is it. If you don't want to fertilize them, you don't have to. They are, like I said, very tough but yet gorgeous perennials. Come in a range of colors. You get single blooms, you get double blooms. The old-timey hellebores, like Mimi has a lot of, they will set seed and they will naturalize. If you have a space like what we were talking about in these other areas that I have, that is the perfect kind of hellebore to have, because they multiply and you get lots of little babies. If you wanted to have more of a confined space like my forest pansy bed, a lot of the new hybrids will be sterile and they're not going to produce babies and kind of overtake your garden. So depending on the space that you want to have your hellebores, choose appropriately, but have fun. All right, let's get these other 2 done. Okay, as easy as that. to clean up those hellebores. Let these sweet little babies shine. This is the bud stage, right? So they are not fully opened yet. So give them a little bit of time, and my goodness, they are going to be absolutely stunning. Like I said, hellebores come in a wide range of colors, flower shapes. Some of the flowers are downturned, some of the flowers are upturned, doubles, singles, reds, blacks, pinks, yellows, purples, you name it, other than blue. They come in just about every color. But you can see we've got some of that new growth is coming up right in here. So that's why it's important to kind of pull those leaves away, be able to see exactly what you have with your hellebores. So really fun, easy peasy. If you're not growing hellebores and you're in that zones 4 to 9, I would highly, highly encourage you to do it because they are fantastic. Even because they are such early bloomers, it's so nice to have those flowers in the garden. A lot of times, especially in the colder zones, maybe even us this weekend, you will see hellebores in bloom covered in snow. So they're very hardy. You don't have to worry about covering them if you get a really cold snap like we're getting ready to get here in the next couple of days. It's going to be a fun time watching these two new gardens take shape. One is going to teach me patience because I might be able to plant in it for quite a while to get all of the ivy under control. The other one down by the creek that Jackson's working on right now, man, it is going to be fantastic. He's got out one of the new attachments. Let me show you right quick what he's doing. So Jackson has the power rake attached to the cat, and you can see, oh my goodness, look how pretty it is making the soil. You can use this on gravel, just about anything. So it kind of chops up the soil a little bit, and then of course it just smooths it out depending on the brand. So Cat calls it a power rake. You might be familiar with like a Harley rake. That's one. I think Bobcat calls theirs a soil conditioner. So different brand names call it different things, but it is just a really cool piece of equipment that does a lot of good. As always, y'all, there is never a boring moment here at Creekside. We appreciate you for joining in and all the fun and shenanigans here. We would love it if you would like and subscribe. That way you don't miss the fun events that are happening here at Creekside. We will keep you updated on the weather events as they occur, because as you know, the weather is ever changing and no one really knows what it's going to do until it does it. So we will keep you updated. Thank you for all your well wishes and prayers for keeping us safe and dry and warm, and the plants all safe. Y'all have an amazing day. We will see you in the next video. Bye, sweet friends.